Hello my students, today inshallah we are going to start with module number 6 about the title here is important discoveries. So everyone please go to students book page number 61. Here on page number 61, look here, important discovery. This is the page that we are going to start with today. Before we start, look here, we have these places. So I wanted to look at the pictures and try to guess where are these places. Now, here we have discovery. Discovery, it means finding or to find something. For example, Isaac Newton's discovery was the gravity, الجاذبية. إسحاق نيوتن discovery. Michael Faraday's discovery was the electricity. The most famous discovery of Alexander Fleming was penicillin. The discovery of Alexander Fleming was the penicillin. اكتشاف. Go now to the next page. Here we are going to start with the new vocabulary items. Look here, we have this one, root, seed, progress, generation, pace, trail, continent, to wander, and finally here to advance. Look here, we're going to start here with this root. What is root? Root is a part of the plant which grew under the ground. A part of a plant which grew. Look here at this picture. This is the root. A root of a tree or a root of a plant. It is a part that grew under the ground. Root. The second one here, seed. And seed, it is part of a plant from which the plant grow. So the plant grow from the seed. So what is the seed? Look here, this is the seed. A part that the plant grow from. Progress. Advance or move forward. Advance, to make a progress. Look here, start from here up to here. So this is a progress, to make a progress. For example, Jordan made a great progress in technology and education. A great progress, تقدم. Look here, we have generation. People who born and live in the same period of time. Generation, جيل. All the 5 generations are in the 9th grade. كل 2005 جيل 2005 are in the 9th grade في الصف التاسع. Pace, look here, this is a pace, one pace. It is a single step taking and walking. Single step, one step, we call it pace. You can take 1 pace, 2 paces, 3 paces. So this is a single step when you walk. Trail, look here, we have these are the trail of a car or a lorry, or a trail of a bicycle. These are the trails. Trail, mark or sign of an object left behind. The trail. Look here, the trail of the car. And here we have continent. Look here, we have all of these are the continents. We have North America, Europe, Asia is a continent, Africa is a continent, South America, Australia, all of these are continents. So there are 7 continents in the world. They are Asia, Africa, North America, South America, Europe, and Australia. And also we have the Antarctica, the Arctic and the Antarctica. Those are the continents of the world. To wander here is a verb. Look here, this man is wandering. Yes, to go somewhere or to walk without know the destinations. Just to go wander. Gazdura. Wander. To advance, look here, to advance. To move forward. To advance. To move forward. We say someone advanced toward me and say hello. Look here at these words also to classify these words into nouns and verbs. Root is a noun, seed progress, generation, pace, trail, continent. All of these are nouns. And here we have two verbs, wander and advance. Wander and advance are verbs. Type here we are going to start with the new article. It says Scots race to the ball. Scots race to the ball. Here we have new vocabulary items before we start reading this article. We have a blizzard, condition, expedition, expedition, explorer, explorer, exposure, exposure, frostbite, frostbite, pioneer, and finally here we have tragic, tragic. So let's go now through these words. We have here blizzards. Look here at this photo. These are a blizzard. It is a strong snowstorm with a strong winds. عاصفة الجية, we call it blizzard. Look at the photo. Condition, the state of something. Look here at those two apples. We say this apple is in a good condition, but this one is in a bad condition. Good condition, bad condition. We have also here expedition. Look here at this word, it's a very old one. It is about an expedition. It is a journey by a group of people for a specific purpose. For example, those people have an expedition to the North Pole or maybe to the South Pole. Expedition, a journey for a specific purpose. Exposure, being exposed to something. Exposure, for example, he suffers from exposure to cold. تعرض لل exposure to illness, exposure to cold, تعرض للبرد, or freezing conditions, exposure to freezing conditions, تعرض لدرجات الحرارة المجمدة. Frostbite, it is getting ill because of the extreme cold, so sometimes you can get a frostbite. بالعربي بنسميها لفحة برد أو احنا بنسميها عضة صقيع أو عضة الثلج. frostbite, frostbite. Pioneer, pioneer, the first to do something. Yes, when someone do something for this first time, we call him pioneer. رائد أو من الأوائل, pioneer. Now here we are going to read this article. I divided the topic or the article into two paragraphs. So here we are going to start. Scots race to the ball. For the past century every 100 years, كل 100 سنة, we call it century. People have admired, impressed by, liked Robert Falcon Scott, a pioneer, the first, who attempted to be the first person to the south. أول واحد عزم, attempted to be the first person to the South Pole. South Pole, قطب الجنوبي. In the 1910, Scott led. Led is the past verb of lead. When we say lead, and the noun is leader, led. His second expedition. So this is the second expedition. That means he had gone before this expedition to the Antarctic. Antarctic is the South Pole. Areas or regions in the South Pole, we call it Antarctic, القطب الجنوبي المجمد. He and his crew, the group of people, we say the crew of the plane or the crew of the ship, and the crew of the expedition, crew طاقم, arrived in January 1911 and set up, they made or established camp مخيم in MC Mordo Sound. As they traveled south, they met, the past verb of meet, awful, horrible conditions, very bad conditions, ظروف. There is sledges, it is a kind of or a part of something that you can wear in your shoe and your foot in order to walk over the snow. Sledges, زلاجات. And ponies, small horses, horses, could not cope. They could not cope with the cold weather. ما تكيفوا. They can adapt it with the cold weather. Even the dogs had to turn back. حتى الكلاب رجعت. Eventually there were just 5 men left. تدريجيا. Eventually, it is an adverb. There were just 5 men left. Scott, Wilson, Otis, Powers, and Evans. They battled on. They struggled. They fight. Battled on. قاوموا. But when they reached the South Pole on 17 January 1912, they found a small tent with a Norwegian flag. Yes, when they reached there to the South Pole, they found a small tent. That means there was someone else before them arrived to the South Pole with a Norwegian flag. Norwegian flag, علم نرويجي. The Norwegian explorer, مستكشف النرويجي, Roald Amundsen, reached the pole a month before Scots. Yes, so there was another one. So Scots wasn't the first one to reach the South Pole, he was the second one. Now look here, we have a list of questions to answer. Why did people admire Robert Falcon? Why did they like Robert Falcon? This is why, because he was pioneer who attempted to be the first person to the South Pole. He was the first to attempted, or the pioneer who attempted to be first person to the South Pole. What did Scott do in 1910? Yes, he led his second expeditions. البعثة الثانية أو الرحلة الاستكشافية exploration or expedition to Antarctic. When did he and his crew arrive? Yes, they arrived to the South Pole in January 1911. As they traveled south, they met awful conditions. Experts, what were the awful conditions that they met? Yes, here their sledges and the ponies could not cope, even the dogs had to turn back. Sledges, ponies could not cope, even the dogs had to turn back. How many one left and who? Yes, as we see, eventually there were just 5 men left. There were Scott, Wilson, Otis, Powers, and Evans. Those the only 5 men who left in the expeditions. What did they find when they reached the South Pole? What did they find? Yes, when they reached the South Pole on 17 January 1912, they found a small tent with a Norwegian flag. Small tent with a Norwegian flag. خيمة صغيرة بعلم نرويجي. Look here now. Find from the text journey, a word which means journey, and we said journey, it means, yes, look here, it is expedition. Horrible. Horrible means very bad. Awful. Yes, awful conditions, horrible conditions. Yes, the past verb of lead, we said here, led his expedition. Let's go now to the next slide. Here also we have the second part of the article, الجزء الثاني من القطاع. Let's read it. Like all people who have been beaten, مثل كل الرجال who had been beaten, هزموا. The men were extremely disappointed, very sad, very exhausted. مخيبين الآمال. When they started their return journey, رحلة العودة, return journey, they struggled. Struggled means battled on. Fight, they fought. Through blizzards, snowstorms. حواس الثلجية. Evans died. Look here, Evans died in February. And then Otis died, who had severe frostbites. Yes, Otis and Evans had severe frostbites. تعرضوا لعضة برد أو لفحة هواء شديدة. Walked, severe means very strong. Like when we say severe headache, صداع قوي, or severe stomachache, مغص شديد, مغص قوي. Severe frostbite, لفحة برد قاسية, قوية. Walked out on the freezing conditions on his 32nd birthday. Yes, walked into the freezing conditions on his 32nd birthday. So he was 32 years old. He didn't return, yes. The remaining three men finally died. Also they died of starvation and exposure. Yes, they died because of the starvation. Starvation's getting hungry, or dying because of getting hungry. جوع. And exposure. Exposure, تعرض. Yes, exposure to the cold or in the freezing conditions and the frostbites on 29 March 1912. Tragically, it means in a tragic way, they were only 20 kilometers from the food supply, and that's why they were unlucky, because they were only 20 kilometers from the foothills. كانوا بعد بس 20 كيلومتر عن أول مزود للطعام أو مركز فيه طعام. 8 months later, a search party فريق بحث found their tent and their diaries. Found their tent, خيمتهم, and their diaries. Diaries, it is a kind of notebook that people usually write their memories in. مذكراتهم, diaries. Their notebooks, letters and diaries, notebooks, letters and diaries describe the tragic events. The tragic events, الأحداث المأساوية, the sad events. Since then, Scott's bravery, being brave, شجاعته, has been greatly admired by the British people, and he had become a national hero. He became a national hero. Look here, why were the men disappointed? Yes, they were disappointed when they started their return journey because they struggled through blizzard, because of the strong blizzards, العواصف الثلجية القوية. Yes, they struggled through blizzards. Why did Evans and Otis died? Yes, because they died because in February who had severe frostbites. They died because of the severe frostbites. Yes, who had severe frostbites. Why did the remaining 3 men die? Yes, we know here as they died also because of starvation and exposure. Yes, they died because of starvation and exposures on 29 March. Quote the sentence which showed that they were very, very unlucky. Yes, there is a sentence showed that the men in these expeditions were very unlucky. غير محظوظين. And here, yes, the sentence is tragically they were only 20 kilometers from the food supply. كانوا بعاد بس 20 كيلومتر عن أقرب مركز فيه طعام. Scott's bravery has been admired by the British people. How do you think they know about that? Yes, how did we know here that all the men in the expeditions were died. كلهم ماتوا. So how did they know about their bravery and شجاعتهم? Yes, look here. Their notebook, letters, and diaries describe the tragic events. Yes, here their notebooks, letters, and diaries has been, describe the tragic events. Find to die because of getting very hungry, and here we said it as, yes, starvation. 2 weather conditions, ظروف جوية. We said here blizzards, and also we have a freezing conditions. So blizzards and the freezing conditions. Go now to the next slide. Yes, we have these things that we can go or work through the text. We have here synonyms. Words have the same meaning. So we have here in the text some words that have the same meaning. بالعربي مترادفات يعني لهم نفس المعنى. Here we have battle on and struggle. Those 2 words have the same meaning. نفس المعنى. Battle on and struggle. يقاوم, يعارك. And also we have here awful and tragic. Both words have the same meaning. Awful and tragic. Adjectives also, we have here awful and tragic. Both are adjectives. Sorry, here this is not adjective. This must be adverb. This is not adjective. Adverb يعني هاي يا شباب صلحوها بدل adjective عملوها adverb يعني ظرف. And look here, tragically. The tragic adjective. الادverb بتكون عبارة عن adjective plus ly. Tragically. Phrasal verb زي ما حكينا before, have we said that it is a verb plus prepositions. يكون فعل مع حرف جر, like battled on, and here we have set up. Thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully that you are going